Well, the original vision started 1971. The city was incorporated, and after it was incorporated, I was privileged to be appointed to the Community Services Commission, and the commission was responsible for then doing a master plan of parks, recreation, cultural things for the city of Irvine. And so we began at that time, there was 5 members on that commission, to interview people who lived here in Irvine and what they would like their city to be like. And so we interviewed all these people and came up with a master plan of parks, recreation, and culture. And so in 1974, we decided that we had the blueprint to do that, and we decided that we needed money to buy the land and to build the park system. And so in 1974, the 1974 park bond issue was passed, and then we were saddled with the responsibility of building out all of these facilities. We had I think $17 million. I can't remember exactly the amount. It was a lot of money for bicycle, hiking paths, and parks. And incorporated in that master plan was a theater. And the theater was important, especially to me, because I'm a theater person, and I had 2 daughters at that time who were training to be professional dancers. And so they didn't have, the only theater that they could be in, dance in, was a Moulton Playhouse, which was very small. And we had traveled all around, and I thought, well, you don't have a soul unless you have a theater.
Well, I think what happened was the creation of a very unusual public-private partnership between the city, the university, and the private sector. So kudos to Sally Ann Sheridan, who was mayor, and it was her dream to have the theater from the time she was a commissioner all the way to mayor. Jack Peltison, who was the chancellor at that time, and the private sector. I was fortunate enough to be asked by Sally to chair the board. And she said, just be a part-time job for a year or 2. Turned out to be a full-time job for 5 years. During that time, Sally Ann, Doug Rankin, and I, over the 5-year period, spent time with over 200 people at lunches, dinners, and breakfast in order to raise the private sector money to go with the bond issue from the city and the land donation from the university. So that public-private partnership is extremely unique, and I don't think you'd find another one in the entire United States where you have the bureaucracy of the university and the bureaucracy of the city working with the private sector. So it is a one of a kind and very hard to duplicate. When you're building a city, you've got physical infrastructure, roads, utilities, services, buildings, all that. But the important part is to create the soul, as Sally mentioned. And the best way to do that is through the arts and through the theater. So I think the theater has accomplished its purpose and provided the soul to go with the theater and with the growth of the city and the growth of the university.
If you think about the environment of the university and the city and the attitude of we can do anything, we can start with nothing and build the best. That attitude says we can solve problems. So yes, we had problems, but I think the motivation was not particularly new. It was just part of the attitude of the environment of the university, the city, and Orange County. We can solve problems. And I think that was what made the difference.
So the theater began to be built. We had some wonderful architects on board, and the city, and many wonderful volunteers to help to raise the money. And so in 1990, the theater opened, and that was the most exciting day of my life. And actually on the night that the theater opened, my daughter by that time became a professional ballerina, was dancing for the American Ballet Theatre, and the night that the theater opened, She brought her partner from New York and they danced.
Opening night was very special. Everyone was very, very excited because a great deal of effort had gone into having the theater built, and we waited. We had had many, many meetings at or near the theater to make sure the opening would occur. And looking back, it's a little bit of a blur now, but I recall that there was just general enthusiasm and excitement from all sectors. Walking into the theater once it opened, and the same feeling I have when I walked into the theater today, is it's very comfortable. You feel like you're not one of 100,000 people at a stadium. There isn't a so-called bad seat in the house, and that it's a real pleasure the way in which it's laid out, especially with the acoustics, and you feel like you're very much part of the performance. When I saw Full House for the first time, and many times thereafter, I just smiled, because there were, of course, cynics out there who said this would not occur, there wasn't going to be the demand for the performances, we wouldn't get the continuing support. There were other venues that would attract patrons. So each and every time we have, and have continued to have, a full house, is just a feeling of a satisfaction and accomplishment.
What's unique about the theater is that it provides a stage on which dance companies, and I don't mean professional dance companies, I mean kids dance companies, can get on the same stage as international talent. So we bring to the stage local community groups who can experience the professional environment of a full-scale theater. Same thing is true with the School of Fine Arts. The backstage capabilities, the technical capabilities of the Barclay complement in a very nice way the technical capabilities of the facilities on the campus. It gives the fine arts students at UCI an opportunity to perform in a professional environment with all the expectations of professional performance. The technical staff, the use of the backstage areas, the lighting, as the audio, everything that goes with professional performance. And so it gives them that professional experience without having to go up to LA.
I think what makes me proud about the legacy that the Barclay has left and is still leaving is that it involves successive generations in the cultural affairs of the community. You know, Southern California generally, Irvine is a new city. The thinking was we're beige in the building of our housing, and the community is beige and maybe barren when it comes to history, obviously, but cultural affairs as well. Well, the Barclay has disproved that and did it in fairly short order. And the fact that it involves the university and the city and the community itself by way of a nonprofit, this is just an amazing success story.
In closing, what I'd like to do is just read from what I said in 1990 at the dedication. I said, in celebration, sounding the completion of the Irvine Barclay Theatre are the culmination of 17 years of determination and hard work. This theater is a terrific example of what the community is all about. A spirit ship compared to the city of Irvine and private sector, businesses, and individuals. As the curtain rises on this important new cultural endeavor, we can all take a bow. We have together created a structure which goes beyond concrete and glass. We have created an arena for creative expression and learning to enrich our lives and those of our children. To those who have shared this exciting task, the Board of Directors and I say simply a heartfelt thank you.